Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 6. Lesson from Quran al-Hakim by thinker of the Quran, Allama Ahmad Parwez. Dear brothers, today is June 23, 1968, and we are in our new series of lessons on the Quran, studying the opening verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. Today, the 6th verse comes before us, 2 verse 6. The mental confusion of the younger generation due to faulty translations. The verse is, إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. 2 verse 6, 7. The traditional way of reading the Quran and the translations prevalent among us have created confusion. In the very first 5 or 6 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, a person becomes entangled and cannot understand the matter. Not only does he fail to understand, but another struggle begins. First it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. 2 verse 2. According to the old translations and the meaning generally accepted among us, the younger generation who wanted to read the Quran thoughtfully had a legitimate complaint. They would say, this is guidance for the God-fearing, but those who are already God-fearing, why do they need guidance? We have already moved beyond this stage. I explained earlier that the common interpretation was not correct. The verse actually means, this book guides those who want to reach the destination of life safely along a balanced and straight path, avoiding the dangerous valleys along the way. Guidance is needed by those who are ready for the journey, who want to reach somewhere, and who want to arrive safely. But according to the old translation, the first confusion was, why do the God-fearing need guidance? Then, moving 2 steps further, the next verse appears. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. 2 verse 6. As for those who disbelieve, it is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. So, guidance is for those who are already God-fearing. For the disbelievers, it is the same whether you warn them or not, they will not believe. Now, when someone pauses to think, he faces this struggle. Then, what kind of book is this? For those already God-fearing, it is guidance. For the disbelievers, it makes no difference whether they are warned or not. They will not believe. The next question arises, why will they not believe? Why is it the same whether you warn them or not? Because ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. 2 verse 7. Allah has set a seal upon their hearts, upon their hearing, and over their eyes is a covering. So the matter is closed. This great book has come to guide mankind to the right path, and it says, those already God-fearing have guidance, and those who disbelieve, it is the same whether you warn them or not, they will not believe. Why not? Because God has sealed their hearts, blocked their ears, and covered their eyes, so they cannot receive guidance from this book. And then it says, وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. And for them is a great punishment. The confusion of the new generation in understanding the Quran. Dear brothers, have you reflected on the kind of confusion our new generation faced in trying to understand the Quran? Their questions did not deserve frowns or dismissive remarks. They wanted to understand and they needed explanation. The matter is very clear. You will recall that when I explained الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ 2:3, I said that the common notion among us that being born in a Muslim household automatically makes one a Muslim and therefore a mu'min is incorrect. The Quran uses the verb form here and elsewhere too. A verb means to do something. Faith, iman, is not something inherited by birth. It is something attained through action. I explained in detail. No child is born a Muslim or a mu'min. He must become one. He must do something after which he can say, "Now I have believed." No child is born a graduate. He must study and work to become one. After effort, he is listed among graduates. Similarly, faith is something to be acquired. That is why the verb form is used. Just as no child is born a Muslim or mu'min, likewise, no child is born a disbeliever, kafir. The Quran also uses the verb form here. Inna alladhina kafaru, those who disbelieve. This too is something done. Whoever does this is called a kafir. The meaning of kafir is one who commits disbelief. So the matter should be clear. Being born in a Muslim household does not make one a Muslim, and being born outside it does not make one a kafir. By birth, one is simply human. Afterward, one must become something. If he does not become a mu'min, he is not one, and if he does not commit disbelief, he is not a kafir. The Quranic meaning of the word kufr. This may seem a little difficult, perhaps the first time you are hearing it, but it will soon become easy. Nothing in the Quran is truly difficult. It may be new for us, but it is always clear. The root of kufr is kafara, whose basic meaning is to cover, to conceal. It is something actively done, something hidden, something covered. In the Quran, kufr and iman are fundamental concepts. If the Quran itself did not explain them, what else would it explain? The entire Quran is filled with clarification of what it means to believe and what it means to disbelieve. In summary, haqq means solid truths. Those who conceal solid truths, who hide eternal realities, who cover them up, they are called kafir. The Quranic meanings of kufr and shukr. As you proceed, you will see that in our common understanding, kufr means only denial of God. But the Quran says that denial of one's own self is an even greater kufr. For a person to suppress his own abilities, or to prevent others from developing their abilities, to hinder their growth, to keep them hidden, to not bring his own capacities into action, or to conceal and suppress the capacities of others so that they cannot flourish, this is kufr. This word also appears in the Quran as the opposite of shukr. Even in our language we say kufran-e ni'mat, ingratitude for blessings, as the opposite of shukr. When I come to shukr later, I will explain in detail what it means. In short, shukr means for something to be filled to the brim, to rise up and manifest clearly. Kufr means preventing that from happening. All the blessings God has given for the development of humanity, He commands that they be brought forth, manifested, and given fully to everyone. That is shukr. To hide them, to keep them concealed, to prevent them from coming forth so that others cannot grow, that is kufr. Thus, kufr means concealing solid truths. I emphasize the word solid because in Arabic, haqq must be a reality or truth that appears in the form of a concrete result. An abstract truth that exists only in the mind is not called haqq. That belongs to the realm of command, amr al-amr. For us, al-haqq is that which fully fits the demands of life and appears as reality or truth in tangible results. To conceal such truth, to hide these eternal realities, to suppress one's own or others' capacities, to cover up the means of growth, all these fall under kufr. Fundamentally, its meaning is to do something. Thus, kufr means an act. The Quran says, those who do this, for them it is the same whether you warn them of life's coming dangers or not. Who are these people? As I have said, the terms kufr and iman, their words and explanations, run throughout the Quran, from al-hamd to al-nas. Therefore, they cannot be fully encompassed in a single sitting. Nevertheless, in the method we have adopted for these lessons, it is necessary to at least bring forth the fundamentals, and we have placed them before you. The first point is this: you can only conceal something that has already come before you, that you possess, that you know. Therefore, according to the Quran, kufr is when facts are presented before someone, when realities are brought to him, and then he hides them, denies them. From the aspect of concealment, its meaning becomes denial. After kufr, rebellion is committed. I forgot to mention one point. When a person hides something, it means that when asked about it, he denies it. If he immediately admits, yes, I had hidden it, then what kind of concealment is that? The necessary outcome of concealment is denial. These are the secondary meanings of kufr as denial. And when he persists in it, opposes it, obstructs it, then the meaning extends to rebellion. I have said before, no child is born kafir nor a Muslim or mu'min. In life, one must act, and those actions produce results. Kufr is the act of hiding realities. Concealment requires that realities have first come before him. If someone has never encountered the realities, it is wrong to say he has concealed them. Now see what the Quran says. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَصَدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَشَاقُوا الرَّسُولِ. These are those who disbelieved and prevented others from the path of Allah and opposed the messenger. And further, مِن بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْهُدَى. After guidance had become clear to them. So when the correct path of life, the realities, appear clearly before someone, and after that he denies them, hides them, refuses to accept them, this is kufr after the clarification of truth. The Quran says, وَقُلِ الْحَقِّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Say the truth is from your Lord. Whoever wills, let him believe, and whoever wills, let him disbelieve. You see, yu'min is also an act. When the truth appears clearly, he accepts it with insight. That is فَلْيُؤْمِنْ. Conversely, if the truth appears clearly before him and he rejects it, that is فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Both are acts done when the truth is presented.
Freedom to accept or reject clear realities. Dear brothers, I am fully aware of the thoughts and struggles rising in your hearts at this moment. The Quran will address them, but be patient. What about those to whom the truth never came? The Quran explains their condition elsewhere. For now, understand this. When a reality is presented to someone, explained to him, and he has the capacity to understand, then if he denies it, hides it, refuses to bring it forth, that is kufr. When the truth comes before them through reason and evidence, through knowledge and insight, then the Quran explains the reasons why people deny it. Causes of kufr: obstinacy, envy, and arrogance. The Quran says, بِئْسَ مَا اشْتَرَوْا بِهِ أَنفُسَهُمْ أَنْ يَكْفُرُوا بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ بَغْيًا أَنْ يُنَزِّلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ عَلَى مَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ. The people of the book had the realities presented to them. It was not that these realities were weak, lacking evidence, or failing the test of knowledge and insight. No, their denial was purely out of obstinacy, baghyan. They objected, why is this prophet from the group of Ishmael and not from the group of Israel? Thus, the first cause of kufr is obstinacy. And the Quran says, وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يَرُدُّونَكُمْ مِّن بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا حَسَدًا مِّنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ مِّن بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْحَقِّ. Many of the people of the book wish to turn you back to disbelief after your faith, out of envy from themselves, after the truth has become clear to them. So the truth appeared clearly before them, تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْحَقِّ. Yet they denied it. Why? Out of envy. Thus, obstinacy is one cause of kufr. Envy is another. And elsewhere the Quran adds, arrogance in the land, istikbar fil ard, is also a cause.
Another motive for denying the truth mentioned in the Quran. The Quran explains another motive for rejecting the truth. Those who, in this world, acquire power, authority, or position through oppression and deceit. When al-haq, the truth, comes before them, accepting it would strip away what they had gained unjustly. Thus, denial of truth becomes a way to preserve their false power. وَأَقْسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ جَهْدَ أَيْمَانِهِمْ لَإِنْ جَاءَهُمْ نَذِيرٌ لَيَكُونُنَّ أَهْدَى مِنْ إِحْدَى الْأُمَمِ. They swore by Allah with their strongest oaths that if a warner came to them, they would be more guided than any other nation. But فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ نَذِيرٌ مَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا نُفُورًا. When the warner did come to them, it only increased their aversion. Why did their aversion increase? Istikbaran fil ardi wa makr sayyi, because of arrogance in the land and evil plotting. They had gained power through deceit and trickery. Accepting the truth would strip them of it. Therefore, out of arrogance, istikbar fil ardi, they rejected it. Kufr also means greed. Dear brothers,
As you listen to these Quranic verses, keep in mind that kufr also means greed. It means denying God's declared truths, hiding them, keeping them concealed, rebelling against them, and refusing to accept them. This applies to Muslims as well as non-Muslims. A mu'min will never do this, because he is only called a believer when he refrains from such denial. What about those of lesser faith? Now consider those who have not yet believed, nor committed kufr, or at least those who have not yet brought faith. In this category, which includes many of us, the same principle applies. When realities are presented before them, if they do not accept them, that too is kufr. This is a matter decided at every breath, whether one has believed or denied. It is not a permanent entry in a register. Nationally, a person may be called Muslim or Hindu, but the Quran defines belief and denial in terms of accepting or rejecting realities. It may be that one accepts many truths, but when a particular truth confronts his interests, he rejects it. That too is kufr.
Arrogance as a cause of kufr. The Quran says, وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَفَلَمْ تَكُنْ آيَاتِي تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ فَاسْتَكْبَرْتُمْ وَكُنْتُمْ قَوْمًا مُجْرِمِينَ. As for those who disbelieved, were not my signs recited to you? Yet you were arrogant and became a criminal people. This is kufr, when God's laws are presented, but arrogance, pride, intoxication with power and conceit prevent acceptance. Subconsciously, they realize that accepting the truth would strip away their false authority and expose their deceit. Therefore, they deny it. Understanding, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ. Now the meaning of this verse becomes clear. Those whose attitude, mindset, and way of life is such that when truth appears before them, they refuse to accept it, whether out of obstinacy, envy, or arrogance, then whether you warn them for a day or for a lifetime, sawa'un alayhim, it is the same for them. See, dear brothers, how the Quran explains itself step by step. Another category of istikbar fil ard, arrogance in the land, is thus revealed before us. The Quran leaves no aspect unaddressed, another category of those who outwardly deny. Dear brothers, the Quran does not leave any corner hidden. It exposes every aspect of denial. It says, let us show you another category of those who do not accept. وَجَحَدُوا بِهَا وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهَا أَنفُسُهُمْ ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًّا. This refers to the time of Prophet Moses, alayhi salam, when he presented his arguments in Pharaoh's court. The signs of prophethood were clear, the shining hand, the miracles, the grandeur, all presented before Pharaoh, his chiefs, and the ruling elite. The message being conveyed was, true sovereignty belongs only to the one unique being. No human has the right to rule over another human. The Quran says, وَجَحَدُوا بِهَا. They kept denying it, even though وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهَا أَنفُسَهُمْ. Their hearts inwardly recognized it as truth. They still refused to accept it. Why? Because of dhulman wa uluwa. They wanted to maintain oppression and domination. This is a category you may have seen. The heart accepts the truth, but false pride prevents acknowledgement. The Quran calls this al-izzatu bil-ithmi, prestige built upon sin. It is an evasive tendency, a false self-importance that blocks acceptance. Even if you present arguments and proofs all day, it will have no effect. It is not that they fail to understand or are unconvinced. They know inwardly it is true, but their prestige prevents them from admitting, I was wrong. For them, it is too difficult to say, yes, I was mistaken.
The greatest obstacle to human character, false pride. Dear brothers, to say sincerely, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا 7:23. Our Lord, we have wronged ourselves, requires great character. The biggest obstacle in the path of human growth is false prestige, the ego's pride. Keep this in mind. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. As for those who disbelieve, it is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. In this context, the Quran gives a subtle explanation. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْهُمْ رُسُولُهُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. Their messengers came to them with clear proofs. فَمَا كَانُوا لِيُؤْمِنُوا بِمَا كَذَّبُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ. Yet they would not believe in what they had already denied before. Once they said no, even without thought, they clung to it out of stubbornness. Now, even when the truth is clear, they refuse, saying, if we admit it now, everything we claimed before collapses. Thus,
The Quran identifies another category of deniers, those whose hearts recognize the truth, but whose false pride and stubbornness prevent them from accepting it. For them, whether you warn or not, sawa'un alayhim, it makes no difference. The seal on the heart is set when a person stops admitting his mistakes. When the Quran says, خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ, Allah has set a seal upon their hearts, this does not mean that once it is said, a person is free to do whatever he wishes. Rather, it refers to those who, out of stubbornness, refuse to admit the truth even when they know it inwardly. The Quran explains, كَذَلِكَ يَطْبَعَ اللَّهُ عَلَى قُلُوبِ الْكَافِرِينَ. Thus Allah seals the hearts of the disbelievers. Their hearts recognize the truth, but false pride prevents them from accepting it. Once they say no, they never return to yes. This refusal becomes a seal upon their hearts.
Another category, intellectuals who refuse to use their faculties. The Quran describes, وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا لِجَهَنَّمَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ 7:179. We have created for hell many of the jinn and humans. Who are they? لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا 7:179. They have hearts but do not use them to understand. وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا 7:179. They have eyes but do not use them to perceive. Notice the Quran says yubsirun, to perceive insightfully, not yanzurun, to merely look. وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا 7:179. They have ears but do not use them to listen. أُولَئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ 7:179. They are like cattle, even worse, because animals at least follow their instincts, while these people do not even do that. Thus, despite possessing faculties of knowledge and intellect, they refuse to use them. Their selfishness blinds and deafens them. Self-pride and ancestor worship blind human reason. Such people may argue brilliantly when their own interests are at stake, appearing like philosophers of the age. But when confronted with truths that challenge their interests, they refuse to think, understand, or listen. For them, the Quran declares, سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ 2:6. It is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. Another category is those who, when presented with Quranic arguments, cannot respond with reason or evidence. When asked why they refuse, they say, because this goes against the ways of our ancestors. They do not rely on intellect, reason, or evidence, but only on tradition. For such people, no amount of explanation or proof will change their stance. Their only argument is, this is against the path of our forefathers. Thus the Quran concludes, سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ 2:6. For such minds, warning or not warning makes no difference.
The Quranic concept of taqlid, blind imitation. The Quran says, when it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed. But they reply, no, we shall follow what we found our forefathers upon. This is called taqlid, blind imitation. The word comes from qalad, meaning a rope or collar placed around the neck of an animal by which it is pulled wherever the owner wishes. In the same way, people blindly follow the footsteps of those before them, without asking why. The Quran continues, even if their forefathers understood nothing and were not guided. Thus, the Quran exposes the futility of following ancestors blindly, without reason or guidance. It further says, the example of those who disbelieve is like that of one who shouts to what hears nothing but calls and cries. This is likened to a herd of sheep. The shepherd repeats sounds he learned from his father without knowing their meaning, and the sheep follow blindly, hearing only familiar noises. Neither shepherd nor sheep understand, they merely imitate. The Quran describes them as deaf, dumb, and blind. They do not use reason. Not using reason is falling into a deep pit of misery. Dear brothers, the Quran teaches that failing to use intellect and reason is the root of kufr. Blind imitation grows from this. Philosophers also affirm, thinking is laborious, it requires effort. Blind imitation requires no effort. Moreover, it removes responsibility. When asked, why do you do this? They reply, because our forefathers did it. Thus they escape accountability. But one who thinks, reasons, and decides must accept responsibility for his actions. The Quran warns against this mentality. They say, we found our forefathers upon a way,
and we are guided by their footsteps.
Blind imitation not only creates mutarifin, self-indulgent elites, but also deprives humans of the capacity to work. The Quran says, وَكَذَلِكَ مَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ فِي قَرْيَةٍ مِّن نَذِيرٍ إِلَّا قَالَ مُتَرَفُوهَا إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَى أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ مُقْتَدُونَ. 43:23. This is not a new phenomenon. Whenever we sent a warner to any community, its self-indulgent leaders said, "We found our forefathers upon a way, and we follow in their footsteps." The Quran explains that these are the mutarifin, those who are ease-loving, unwilling to work, desiring to live off the labor of others. They enjoy luxury without effort. If one reflects, their argument collapses immediately. Why should one person toil while another consumes the fruit of his labor? There is no rational justification. Thus, the Quran identifies this class as mutarifin, who justify their parasitic lifestyle by claiming to follow ancestral tradition. Another category of mutarifin, shifting responsibility onto God's will. Another category is those who, when asked why they act in such ways, reply, "It is God's will. Without his command, not even a leaf can move. Man has no power to act." From this attitude, they extend the idea, wealth and poverty are in his hands. Honor and disgrace depend solely on his will. Everything is predetermined. They claim, if God had not willed it, this would not happen. Since it happens, it must be his will. This is the height of an irresponsible mental attitude, transferring all responsibility onto another, refusing to think, refusing to act, refusing to change. To adopt a new path requires effort, thought, and responsibility. But this escapist mindset avoids responsibility by saying, it is God's will. The Quran exposes this. وَقَالُوا لَوْ شَاءَ الرَّحْمَنُ مَا عَبَدْنَاهُمْ. 43:20. They say, if the Most Merciful had willed, we would not have worshipped them. Thus, they justify idol worship and shrine worship by claiming it is God's will. They bow before stones and bricks, seek favors from the dead whom they themselves buried, and imagine them as masters of the living world. When asked why, they reply, if Allah had not willed it, we would not do it. In this way, they present themselves as pious, claiming to act in accordance with divine will, while in reality escaping responsibility and refusing to use intellect. Eyes deprived of the light of knowledge. The Quran says, مَا لَهُمْ بِذَلِكَ مِنْ عِلْمٍ. 43:20. They have no knowledge of this. Tell them, you are speaking words of ignorance. From the realm of knowledge, you cannot bring any evidence or proof for this. إِنْ هُمْ إِلَّا يَخْرُصُونَ. 43:20. They do nothing but conjecture. Their condition is that they build entire structures upon mere assumptions. Yes, they may continue to present logical arguments, but you know well that on the issue of taqdir, predestination, the amount of logical reasoning produced is unmatched by any other subject. If all that has been written on this one issue were gathered, it would fill entire rooms. Yet the Quran declares, مَا لَهُمْ بِذَلِكَ مِنْ عِلْمٍ. 43:20. All this massive writing, which they call knowledge, and on the basis of which they are called scholars, contains not a single ray of light from true knowledge. It is all conjecture. The story of Iblis and Adam, shifting responsibility. As I have often said in these lessons, the Quran makes the matter clear in the story of Iblis and Adam. The real question is, does man accept responsibility for his wrong path, or does he shift it onto others? This is the essence of the issue of destiny, fate, divine decree, and God's will. Adam committed a slip. Iblis committed a sin. Adam was asked, why did you do this? He replied, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. 7:23. Our Lord, we have wronged ourselves. What breadth of character is required to admit this? But whoever accepts responsibility for his mistake finds the path of recovery open. Adam's repentance was accepted. He was given another chance. Iblis was asked, why did you do this? He replied, I am not the doer. All was compelled by your will. I was helpless. He was told, go, you are cast out forever. No opportunity for recovery was left. Whoever does not admit his mistake, does not accept responsibility, cannot reform himself. Is human life's purpose merely to work respectable jobs and die? The Quran says, سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. 2:6.
It is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. These are the ones who cling to the doctrine of predestination, who make blind imitation their creed. What benefit is there in striking against them? The Quran identifies the real issue. These are people whose vision is fixed only on worldly gain. Here the Quran touches the sensitive nerve. Human life is shaped by deeds. Every action builds life. Today shapes tomorrow. Whoever does not believe in tomorrow, in the future, whoever says, "Let me enjoy today, let me live in comfort now," for him it is useless to say, "Think also of tomorrow." The Quran says, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا 47:12, those who disbelieve. Who are they? يَتَمَتَّعُونَ وَيَأْكُلُونَ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ الْأَنْعَامُ 47:12, they enjoy and eat as cattle eat. They consider life's purpose to be eating, drinking, producing children, and then dying, the same as any animal's purpose. Akbar al-Habadi, 1846 to 1921, expressed it. What can we say, friends? What great deeds they accomplished. They did a BA, got a job, received a pension, and died. These are their great achievements. They say, it is God's great favor. We had respectable jobs, raised children. They too became employees. I earned enough for bread and lentils. I bowed at every step in gratitude for this life. Now, when old age has made me useless, I turn to some remembrance of God. The Quran says, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يَتَمَتَّعُونَ وَيَأْكُلُونَ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ الْأَنْعَامُ 47:12, وَالنَّارُ مَثْوَى لَهُمْ 47:12. Those who disbelieve enjoy and eat as cattle eat, and the fire will be their abode. Do you want to see who will be in hell? The Quran shows those who do not believe in the future, who deny tomorrow. For them it is useless to say, think of tomorrow. For them it is only سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ 2:6. Denial of the hereafter is denial of the self. Belief in the future means that life is not limited to this physical existence. It continues beyond. The physical body certainly perishes before our eyes. The question is, what continues afterward? Within man there is something that does not end with the disintegration of the physical body. This is called the human personality, nafs, khudi. It continues. Thus, denial of the future or the hereafter is in reality denial of one's own self, denial of one's personality, denial of one's future. Dear brothers, the Quran's point here is profound. When I come to the subject of nafs, I will explain further. The Quran says when you are asked to believe in God, in fact, you are being asked to believe in your own self. Whoever denies his own self, for him it is سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ 2:6. It is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. Kufr is the denial of the possibilities within one's own self. That is why one with deep insight said, شَاخَ نِهَالِ سِدْرَا خَارُ خَسِيجَ مَنْ مَشُو مُنْكِرِ او أَگَر شُدِي مُنْكِرِ خِيشْتَن مَشُو. Iqbal Zubur Ajam. Oh, if you deny him, the Creator, then deny, but do not deny yourself. If you deny him, later you may come to affirm him. But if you deny your own self, then there remains nothing left for you to affirm, nothing upon which you can bring faith. You are a branch of the Sidra tree. Do not become the refuse of the garden. The Quran urges faith in the self before faith in God. The first faith a human must bring is faith in his own self. The Quran teaches man to believe in his own self before believing in God. Dear brothers, whoever does not believe in his own self is called a denier of the hereafter, a denier of the future. Faith in the self means belief in the future. Denial of it means considering this physical life as the ultimate end and purpose.
The purpose of the creation of the universe is to weigh every human deed on the scale of justice. Listen carefully, dear brothers. The Quran says, وَخَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ. Allah created the heavens and the earth with truth. This cosmic order has been created bil-haq, with purpose, with reality. It is not Plato's dream, nor illusion, nor deception. It is a solid reality. Why was it created? وَلِتُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. So that every soul may be recompensed for what it has earned, and none shall be wronged. Thus, the entire heavens and earth are in motion so that no human action remains without consequence. What a magnificent verse! When asked, what is the purpose of creation? The Quran itself answers, the purpose of the creation of the universe is that every deed of man be weighed and rewarded with justice. The condition of nations possessing knowledge and insight. In contrast, the Quran says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ? Have you seen the one who takes his own desires as his God? Such a person has no concern for life's higher purpose. He makes his passions and interests his deity. The result is, وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ. Allah lets him go astray despite knowledge. Even with knowledge and insight, he chooses misguidance. Look at the great nations of the world, masters of science and intellect, who pluck stars from the galaxy, yet when it comes to life's truths, they falter. The whole world of intellect cries out for the end of the hell of Vietnam, yet it does not end. Why? Because مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Everyone has made his own interest his God. Despite knowledge, they are blind. The Quran says, وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً. Allah has sealed his hearing and heart and placed a covering over his sight. Who can guide such a person afterward? فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. Denial of the future. These are the ones who say, وَقَالُوا مَا هِيَ إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا الدُّنْيَا نَمُوتُ وَنَحْيَا وَمَا يُهْلِكُنَا إِلَّا الدَّهْرُ. This life is nothing but our worldly life. We die and live, and nothing destroys us except time. They claim life is only physical, subject to natural laws, ending with death. But the Quran says, وَمَا لَهُمْ بِذَلِكَ مِنْ عِلْمٍ. They have no knowledge of this. If they had sought knowledge, it would never have confirmed their claim. Life does not end this way. The vehicle of life, the body, reaches its terminal stage, but the traveler does not perish. In hum illa yadhunnun. They are only conjecturing. These are people who commit kufr, denying truths, concealing realities. For them it is سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. It is the same whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. You may present these truths to them all day long, but they will not accept them. Denial without full knowledge is not called kufr. Let me return to this point. Kufr is committed only when the realities and guidance have come before them. It is a conscious decision a person makes. It is not merely a negative attitude of mind, nor simply doing nothing. It is the result of an act. The first condition, dear brothers, is that guidance must have already come before them. The Quran says about those who will enter hell, they will plead with the keepers of hell to call upon their Lord to lessen the punishment. قَالُوا أَوَلَمْ تَكُ تَأْتِيكُمْ رُسُلُكُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. It will be said, did not your messengers come to you with clear proofs? They will reply, قَالُوا بَلَى. Yes, indeed, they came. Thus the matter is clear. Since the messengers did come, they will be told, قَالُوا فَادْعُوا وَمَا دُعَاءِ الْكَافِرِينَ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ. Then call upon God, but the supplication of the disbelievers is in vain. So kufr applies only after the truth has been presented. Another verse says, يَا مَعْشَرَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ رُسُلٌ مِّنْكُمْ يَقُصُّونَ عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِي وَيُنذِرُونَكُمْ لِقَاءَ يَوْمِكُمْ هَذَا. O assembly of jinn and humans, did not messengers come to you from among yourselves, reciting my verses to you, and warning you of the meeting of this day? They will reply, قَالُوا شَهِدْنَا عَلَى أَنفُسِنَا. Yes, they came, and we bear witness against ourselves. Worldly interests entangle man in deception. The Quran says, وغرتهم الحياة الدنيا وشهدوا على أنفسهم أنهم كانوا كافرين. The worldly life deceived them, and they bore witness against themselves that they were disbelievers. Thus, they admit, the messengers did come, but worldly interests and deceptions kept them in denial. And the Quran clarifies, ذلك أن لم يكن ربك مهلك القرى بظلم وأهلها غافلون. Your Lord would not destroy the towns unjustly while their people were unaware. So, destruction never comes without prior warning. Immutable principles of nations rise and fall. The second condition is that people must have developed the capacity to think and understand. They must have reached the stage of self-consciousness. The Quran says, وَلَقَدْ مَكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي مَا إِن مَكَّنَّاكُمْ فِيهِ. We had established them in power in ways we have not established you. وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ سَمْعًا وَأَبْصَارًا وَأَفْئِدَةً. They had hearing, sight, and hearts. They had reached the level of intellectual maturity, with faculties of understanding awakened. But فَمَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُمْ سَمْعُهُمْ وَلَا أَبْصَارُهُمْ وَلَا أَفْئِدَتُهُمْ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِذْ كَانُوا يَجْحَدُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ. Thus, the Quran explains, for a people to be held accountable, two conditions must be met. 1. Guidance must have been presented to them. 2. They must have developed the intellectual capacity to understand it. If after this they deny and conceal the truth, then they are those described as إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا 6:2, لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ 6:2. Indeed, those who disbelieve, it is the same whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. To understand Quranic realities, one must first grasp the Quranic concept of reward and punishment. As I mentioned earlier, a thought may arise in your mind, what about those primitive tribes who have not yet reached the level of knowledge and awareness, who live a cave-like existence? They are not part of human civilization at that level. For them, understanding is not possible. Or you may ask, what if there is a nation that exists, but the message has never reached them? Then why should they be punished? This is the word that creates confusion in your mind, punishment. For them, the question of punishment does not arise. According to the Quran, unless you change your concept of reward and punishments, you will not understand its realities. Punishment is usually thought of as something imposed externally upon someone. But consider, if a person has no knowledge, he is ignorant. He suffers losses as a natural consequence of ignorance. You did not impose punishment upon him, the absence of knowledge itself produced those losses. For example, in a village where there is no school, no access to education, the child grows up without learning. Later, when he becomes an adult, he cannot qualify for entry into higher services because the requirement is a degree. He is deprived, not because someone punished him, but because ignorance naturally excluded him. Thus, the Quran explains, life continues beyond, and the human personality develops. If that personality meets the required standard, it progresses. If not, it halts. If the personality has not reached the standard, regardless of circumstances, it cannot advance. Here there are no grace marks, no appeals to mercy. It is simply the natural consequence of reality. According to the Quran, not everyone with a human form is truly human. Another thought arises, what about those to whom the message never reached, whose development never occurred, who never attained intellectual maturity? What is their fault? The Quran says, do not speak of punishment for them because they are exempt from reward and punishment. They have not yet reached the level of humanity. The confusion arises because they appear in human form. True humanity is measured by attaining the standard of human personality. According to the Quran, merely having a human shape does not make one human. Humanity lies within. If a person has reached the level of human personality, then his case is judged as human. If he has not reached that level by any means, then his case is not judged as human. Just as countless animals and living beings are born and die, they too are counted among them. The doubt would arise if the Quran had said they will be thrown into hell, but the Quran does not say this. Our mistaken concept was whoever is not born in a Muslim household is automatically a kafir, and whoever is a kafir is destined for hell. From this misconception arose the objection, what was their fault, for which they were punished? By birth, no one is Muslim or kafir. Nature only produces a human being. It is man who must become human. Dear brothers, for those who merely possess the outward form of a human, the Quran says there is no question of reward or punishment. Their future is determined according to what level of humanity they have attained. Remember this, if a person has reached the level called self-consciousness, shu'ur-e-huish, the awareness of self, and has acquired intellect, reason, knowledge, and insight, then the first condition is fulfilled. The next condition is that guidance must also have reached him. The question concerns those to whom life's realities have reached. In our age, those who have reached the level of knowledge and insight cannot deny that these realities have reached them. Today, the means of knowledge are so abundant that they spread through the air, penetrate homes, enter ears, and appear before eyes. A person at this level cannot claim, these truths never came before me. They are present in written form, spoken across the world. Let us aside others. The question is, has the Quran's message come before us or not? Have we reached the level where we can understand it or not? Both conditions are fulfilled. For us, therefore, there is no excuse. We are deserving of the life of hell. See how heavy this responsibility becomes. To reach the level of intellect and awareness is indeed delightful, but its price is severe. As one tormented soul rightly said, go mad, then others will bear your burden. But here, madness is not an option. Is the entire Muslim community not responsible for its own ruin and humanity's decline? Think, dear brothers, we have reached the level of intellect and awareness. The Quran's guidance has come before us. Perhaps for others there may be some excuse, but what about us? Can we claim the Quran never came to us? You yourselves proclaim to the world that you are heirs of this book. Can you claim we were not at the level to understand it? Yet after this, the reality is suppressed, concealed, denied, and resisted. Do not think of others, think of ourselves. Do we have any margin left to present an excuse? As for those who have not reached this level or to whom the message has not come, do not think of them. God says we are not unjust. They will not be punished. But for us, the conditions are fulfilled. 1, we have reached the level of self-consciousness and intellect. 2, the realities of guidance have come before us. If after this we deny, conceal, and resist, then there is no excuse left. Our place is among those described as إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Indeed, those who disbelieve, it is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. When will we realize the need to escape self-deception? Dear brothers, do not get entangled in the confusion of what will happen to them. Think instead, what will happen to us? That other discussion remains a theoretical debate, and we indulge in it only to avoid facing the real question of our own accountability. This is the great deception of the human self. It keeps us busy in abstract debates, philosophical subtleties, and logical arguments, consuming all our energy, while we fool ourselves into thinking we are accomplishing great tasks by analyzing general truths. But the Quran says, have you ever thought about yourself? يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد. O you who believe, fear Allah and let every soul look to what it has sent forward for tomorrow. So do not talk about others. Look at what you have prepared for your own future. The Prophet's hadith has been calling us for 14 centuries. Whoever's today is the same as his yesterday has perished. Despite awareness, no change occurs. Dear brothers, we have reached the level of consciousness. The Quran's guidance is before us, yet we remain unmoved. No change occurs, neither within individuals, nor within the community, nor within society. Despite the countless sermons, writings, and books on Quran and Islam, the outcome is visible. Every new morning is worse than the one before. Why is this kufr being chosen? We fear to say it openly, but the Quran itself declares it. The few points I have presented show that when these realities come before people, do they accept them? Do they acknowledge them? And acknowledgement means, do they shape their lives according to them? If not, then this is kufr. Thus, dear brothers, when the mentality has reached this stage, then it is سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. It is the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. What is this أَنذَرْتَهُمْ? What does inzar mean? It means to inform someone beforehand of the consequences of their actions. It is not prophecy nor knowledge of the unseen. Since the universe operates according to law, one who knows the law can warn of its results. For example, if someone takes too many sleeping pills at night, he will die by morning. To say, these are sleeping pills, you may take one or two, but if you take more, death will occur. This is inzar. So the Quran says, whether you warn them or not, they will not believe. If someone has already decided to commit suicide, no matter how much the doctor warns him, he will still swallow the entire bottle. This is sawa'un alayhim.
Quranic teaching came to show the difference between life and mere age. It was said to the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, "We give you this book so that he may warn whoever wishes to live." This is to warn those who truly want to live, to make them aware of the dangerous valleys ahead. Notice the word, who wishes to live. The Quran itself clarifies that life is not merely the coming and going of breath. Mere counting of breaths is not considered life. That is the level of animals. For the Quran, life is not just respiration. It says, yes, they may not know how much dose is needed, what to eat, what to avoid. Such guidance benefits only the patient who wants to live, who still has the capacity to live. He should be informed of these things. But the one who does not believe in life, who does not want to live, who has no faith in life, what benefit is there in informing him? None. Thus the Quran says, to warn whoever wishes to live, and so that the word may be fulfilled against the disbelievers. Those who deny life itself, upon them the truth of the law is established, just as one who swallows the entire bottle of medicine dies. Dear brothers, take this reference, ponder over it for a week, and see what the Quran is saying. Today we discussed this verse. إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. And next we will come to ختم الله على قلوبهم. I believe this will require an entire lesson on its own, so we will take it up in the next session. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Our Lord, accept from us. Indeed, you are the all-hearing, the all-knowing.